Great. You just need to put on your headphones and then we can get started. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anitta, Krishan, and I work at Trivago. We are a hotel search organization based in Düsseldorf, Germany. And I joined the organization in 2014 when we were 400, and now we're at 1,400 this year. And in December, we recently became a publicly listed company in NASDAQ. And so through all of this, we've scaled our culture immensely and very quickly. And I want to talk to you about our culture, what it's like, but also share with you the key to our success to our scaling culture. So I'll share some takeaways, but I want to also give you a bit of insight into what our values are like. How do we lead an organization of 1,400 without titles in the organization, without status, without ego, and really just come together as a global family. You can tell by my accent I'm not German. I'm originally from Canada, and I fell in love with Trivago and ended up staying in Düsseldorf, Germany, to transform the organization and work with a group of international-minded folks. So I want to start off with a video. Just brace yourself in case it's too loud on the headphone. They'll try to correct that back there for you.
Sweet spot, I'm feeling good. The sun is shining, I knew it would. The world's a playground, I'm in the clouds. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up, yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up, yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Just check it out. I'm gonna light it up, yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out.
So for me, that was a muted video. For you, I hope that was really exciting to feel the energy and vibe that we create and have at Trivago. I picked that video particularly, that was a year in review of 2016 for us. And we had a remarkable year, and it made me really feel like we are empowering people to get more out of life. And this is exactly what we're aiming to do at Trivago. Yes, we're a hotel search. We want to help you find the ideal hotel at the lowest rate. And so this is our product, and everything is still a big focus for us. But we feel that part of our business strategy is culture. Culture is an important part of our business strategy. It isn't just an HR strategy, but is rather a business strategy that contributes to our success of the organization. And so our main purpose as an organization is to empower people to get more out of life. And what we mean by this is creating these aha moments where people come together, get together, and create things. I mentioned the notion that we do not have titles at Trivago, and this sense is very unique because we have interns who come in and are ready to transform the organization from the get-go. They don't feel like an intern. They might be a part-time worker, but they get tons of autonomous time to be able to work on things and create things. So here we have, the quote is, "We live for aha moments. We're driven by passion. We are focused on building consumer-centric products, which make the world more transparent, more unbiased, more fair, more individual." So there's a lot of personalization that goes into our product and what we are creating for you. Whether we're helping you find the ideal hotel or developing an app, this is or developing someone's career at Trivago, we put a great deal of focus on this. And for us, it's really this empowers the story of Trivago's story, and it's the success factor for us. And we're creating a company, and I hate to refer to it as a company because it definitely doesn't feel like a company, but now that we're publicly listed, we are really a company. And why I say it's not a company is we have a very unconventional framework. We're breaking all the norms of traditional organizations, how they operate. We don't have a traditional HR department, but rather a team called Talents and Organization that has 3 distinct teams that focuses on driving organizational development, and 1 dedicated team of 33 for culture. So you can imagine in a 1,400 organization that how much emphasis we give to culture and developing our talents. And this one global family aspect that comes in here, making sure that we're nurturing one environment, this is mainly because we have offices in Palma, Shanghai, Leipzig, Amsterdam, and these are a few offices that we have, but we're headquartered in Düsseldorf, Germany as a global office, and we're moving to a new campus in 2018. So 1 year from now, we'll move to a campus that will hold 2,000 talents. And I can tell you, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, I can tell you already we're going to be outgrowing that campus that we haven't even moved into yet. But this is something that we take great pride in, that we feel that we adapt with the change, we go with the flow, we create change and embrace change as much as possible. And another big thing, I'll talk a lot about our values today, but another big thing is doing everything with passion and learning from all these different experiences. So this is a big part of what we're doing and creating. So our core values, like many other organizations, this is your cultural DNA. So depending on the size of your organization, whether you're a big company already or whether you're just starting off or a startup, it's very important that you're defining what your values are. What is your cultural DNA of your organization? What is your identity? And these things create the foundation. And this should be you should be able to see this the minute someone goes to your company careers page. It should be in your recruitment process, in your interviews. You should be hiring for, looking for, does this person have also share the same values as your organization? And it's essential, the foundation of any organization, and we put a lot of emphasis on this. I want to share a story about the values because I mentioned I joined Trivago in 2014. And I had a company where, small-time, part-time gig while I'm traveling in Europe, and being a millennial as I am, just wanted to try it out. And during that onboarding week, we had the founder and CEO come join us to speak about the values. And I thought, oh wow, this is really nice. I guess he's part of the roster to speak about our values. No, he still does this to date. Every other week speaks about the core values to all the newcomers onboarding the company. And this leadership buy-in and engagement is very, very important. And that makes me feel valued and all the newcomers coming in. And it's also important to know no matter how busy a founder or CEO can get, they allocate that time to meet and engage with talents. And it also gives them a pulse into what the organization is like and how you're developing as an organization. So then we tacked on, since he was doing such a great job, Rolf Arcia, since he was doing such a great job in the onboarding talks, we started inviting him to all the leadership onboarding trainings. So he delivers this talk at least 3 to 4 times a week about our values. And this is a very, very successful process that we've had, and we feel that it really establishes the core in what we do. So our values being trust, authenticity, unwavering focus, entrepreneurial passion, power of proof, and fanatic learning. And these 6 core, as I mentioned, from recruiting to onboarding, leadership training, everything this is included. But this is also how we take a stance in performance management. We don't even like to use that term performance management. We call it feedback. Feedback culture, and it's embedded in it. So we assess on these values and universal skills, which is fairly unique for any organization. And I think if you're looking to revamp how you think about performance and how people and individuals bring value and create value in your organization, this is your first key to success, to embed your values into how you evaluate and assess your talents. So with trust, we go into a bit detail on what these mean. When we're talking about trust, we want to develop an environment that allows for people to get to know each other, meet, connect, and just foster those relationships and bonds. And we want to make sure that the environment is trustful as well. And this also means that then you're comfortable to challenge each other, talk to each other very openly. And this is the foundational piece of trust, but how do we scale trust? We do some really crazy things to scale trust, and that being a tour that we go on every year. This was my first tour when we were at 400. We went to Tyrol, Austria. We took a train rented out this entire hotel for 4 days to team build together. That meant doing activities like the traditional Trivago Olympics, but this tour has been happening every single year and it's part of our tradition. And last year we went to Ibiza, Hard Rock Hotel, 1,000 employees all together, and that's what creates the trustful bonds. No matter how big we grow, I think this is an essential part where you dedicate time to do something that brings everyone together. And we do, of course, have the monthly team events, the QA Fridays with the management. We do have sessions that allow people to connect and interact, but this is one element of it that I feel really the events that we throw that all connect back to the values. With authenticity, we want people to come as they are to the organization. And it's very important that they feel they can be themselves. There's no Anitta outside of work and Anitta at work. I'm one person and I get to be that way. And as a result, of course, we're well connected and we understand who we are. And this is something that we feel that the people coming into the organization shouldn't feel like they now need to adapt themselves to fit the values. We're already making sure that they feel like they identify with the values. They're rather adapting, they're rather actually just using their experience, their beliefs, their differences to really shape Trivago further. And that diversity is what we really value in the organization. We're a very international company. We completely speak English every day. So I've been in Germany for 3 years and my German's not that great because of this reason. So that, of course, I can have German classes in-house German classes to continue to learn and develop myself in that area. But basically, you're who you are. You come to Trivago. You shape Trivago as you like. And who we are is based on the DNA of you that comes into the organization, and so the talents that come in. And this is something that we highly value because we have very quirky folks, very talented folks, but we are so diverse. And this could also be complex, but this is something that we celebrating this diversity. So here, this authenticity part comes in. We made sure that we had throwing a very amazing experience in Ibiza, but at the same time, it lets us be who we are. I don't know how many people feel comfortable in a bathing suit with their coworkers, but at Trivago we do because we're able to. We are family. We're one. Like regardless of our size, we'll always feel like that family and feel that way. And so this is a favorite memory of ours from Ibiza. And basically we had some very heavy-hitting DJs coming in to make this experience even better for us. And he actually had a tear in his eye, the DJ had a tear in his eye, based on how much vibe and how much energy the entire organization brought in. And it was like, so you guys are all on a company trip? You're not friends? I'm confused. Yes, this is a company organizational trip. And this is what we want to portray as well and be able to showcase this and make sure that others see this. And this is what makes us want to work for Trivago and work at Trivago. And if you're thinking about what can you do to keep your talents bonded together, keep your talents together, thinking of ways that get these trips going. We also do something called, for example, called Take Me Home. There's actually a group of 10 people right now who are visiting another talent's hometown. The person's from Lyon, France, and she's taking a group of 10 of her colleagues to experience her hometown. And this is an experiential learning experience for them, but it's also connecting together, learning about what diverse backgrounds that they have and who they are as an individual. And we feel that this, then when they come back to work, they experience this together. Last year, there was also a Camino walk that was done. And that walk, how do you walk 100 kilometers for a couple days with a group of your coworkers? These are the experiences that you need to start thinking about. So if you're looking to do volunteering in the organization, don't just stick with do volunteering. Think of how you can make that an actual experiential learning experience to connect it back to the organization and add value to it. Then another value is entrepreneurial passion. We are the owners of the organization. Yes, we have on paper the managing directors, but as an employee, as a talent, I am responsible, accountable for the business. I do things autonomously. I have never in my 3 years had to ask about approvals, budgets, or anything. What I have done is build business cases as to why this project should be done, or why I want to do this Experience Academy, or go to do this walk on Camino together. And this is what makes the organization passionate agents of change, drivers of change. So we're not waiting for a top-down change to come, but rather we're in the forefront of that change and leading that change in that organization. And we're bringing the leadership on with us. So it's not the other way around where you get a top-down change communicated. We're also motivated to challenge the status quo. And this means also challenging the leadership and on decisions made, and making sure that we create an environment that is a hacking culture that allows you to hack through problems. And so recently this year we had an entire organization-wide Hack the Org session, and that was, what are our organizational problems, how can we deal with it, what are some of the solutions? Rather than having a complaining session or just not unproductive, not solution-oriented, we focus on solutions and problem solving. And generally, the people working in the organization love what we do. I personally love what I do. I've had 5 different roles in this last 3 years, and that's because I absolutely love and I'm passionate about the organization and creating change. Also, being visionary and thinking ahead is a big important part. And in this conference, being Think Ahead 2017, we've also coined our own phrase for motto for the year this year is Passionate 17. Do everything you're doing with absolute passion. And think of it as your own baby project. Think of it as something that you fully own and are accountable for. And also see how that contributes to the bigger picture. Another topic on failure. I'm so happy that Leticia from Fuck Up Nights is also here today, here at the conference, because we took great inspiration from that movement to also introduce a culture of celebrating and sharing failures in the organization. So we kicked off that this year with sharing failures from the leadership team directly. So the managing directors came into one of our weekly Trivago Fridays to share openly their failures in life, in the business, very openly, to set the stage for all talents to be able to openly share failures and mistakes. And as a result, we want people to fail often. And if you're not failing, that means you're not being bold enough. That also means you're in a comfort zone. We don't want people to be comfortable in the organization. We want them to be uncomfortable, take those risks, and be able to move much, much more quicker. So fail fast, but also fail cheaply, because we do need to make money. And if mistakes are made, if no mistakes are made, that is a sign that, as I said, we're not trying hard enough, we're not being bold enough. And I was told that in my first role that I had, is like, be bolder in what you do. And I felt it was the Canadian, super nice of me, don't want to step on anyone's toes, being very a bit just calm, collected. So no, be bolder, drive that change. You have an idea, push that out there. And I think this really helped me as an individual also change the way I behave, the way I think. And it developed me personally as well to be able to be way more bolder and challenge my own lead, who happens to be the CEO, which is comfortable and okay to do. And there's always a winning with being able to get leadership on your side if you have a strong business case. And also, the main thing is we choose our own paths. There's no beaten paths. We don't look at what other organizations are doing. We do learn from organizations and look at what others are doing and do constant organizational exchanges, but we really see how we can take that and adapt it and reinvent the wheel for ourselves on what we want to achieve. So as a result of this, we come up with very crazy ideas sometimes. So this year at 1400, we took it upon ourselves to decentralize our entire technology teams, and this also meant I don't like the term reorg, but it's also a massive change in the organization, and we took 1400 people through that change, and it wasn't a change that took 1 year or so. It was, here's the announcement, here's the change, let's reorganize ourselves and move forward. And so I want to share a little bit about that to tell you how we scale entrepreneurial passion and how that's done. So to ensure sustainable success, we're building an organizational environment that allows for allows to take the effect of increasing complexity, but also be able to scale. So a typical organization, and that's our middle is the prototype for our new campus, we have people who work together in this traditional company in a department, let's say. So in this kind of departmental context framework, you have just siloed empire building and teams that just work on their specific topic and their department, and not really thinking about how to scale the business and be work more together. And so as a result, we started moving people around. Key people in the organization that started moving to other areas who have business end-to-end knowledge. We started moving them around and moving more people around and more people, and we caused massive disruption in the organization. But this was important because we wanted people to not be comfortable in only that specific department they're working on, but rather think about how do I add value to increasing the business in the organization? How do I scale what we're doing right now? And it also means reducing dependencies between departments and making sure you have all the resources you need in your team within that team. The next piece is power of proof. I talked about failure, celebrating failure, taking risk, but we also do this with making sure that we're still calculated and making smart decisions. So we evaluate our new ideas and really base it on data. We're big on data, being very data-driven, and we have a people analytics team. We look at this, it's expanding in this direction as well, to look at data for the business, but also in terms of people analytics as well. Making sure that our decision-making isn't just a gut feel assumption. As culture, I come up with all sorts of cool stuff, but in order for me to be able to go forward with that idea, I also need to have some measurements and data around that. And for you, those of you that are wondering, how do you measure culture? That is a great question. That is not easy to do. And I can tell you a company survey, annual company survey, would not cut it. Because by the time you do the survey, company survey, and digest all that feedback, it'll be half year already. By the time you put the actions that come out of the half-year survey, it's time for the next survey already. So thinking about how do you get feedback more frequently is through making sure that you're constantly engaging with your talents. We do this through a weekly Q&A with at least one of the managing directors taking part. We posing questions on a specific topic, and this is how we go through this to make sure that people feel like they can contribute to the discussion, that they feel heard, and we take those actions and make sure that there's a constant feedback loop. On top of that, this is the non-anonymous way to engage talents and get that feedback, but we also use a tool that on a weekly basis, we ask 5 questions to all our talents on a weekly basis through a Slack integration. It takes less than 5 minutes to do, to ask them about how things are going. How happy are they at work? We look at 10 different key metrics and we ask about how they're feeling. And we get a lot of great feedback from there. And when they talk about how great our culture is, that is reaffirming for me to know. And another important part about who's accountable for this feedback that you get. You need a champion in the organization to make sure that there's someone that's responsible for the feedback and action cycle here. And it can't just be something that you delegate to an intern to respond back to feedback that you're getting through this tool that I speak of. So as a person who's responsible for culture in the organization, I take it upon myself to be that responsible person to make sure if there is something that is said there that is a red flag, I have to act on it. And I ensure that I do something very quickly to change, to create that change that's needed. And with this, that means that people feel that they're being heard, and it's not someone that's just, oh, no one's reading this feedback I'm giving, but they also get replies from the leadership team directly. So you can post about the free lunch that we offer, or they can post about the cereals that's being offered, or how the training sessions are done. but we're also engaging in that regularly. And this is a very, very important part in scaling your culture, to be on the ground and be able to hear, I say, the heartbeat, the pulse of what your organization is like. And it's hard for a leadership team to do that because they're not on the ground. In our case, they sit with us, so they're on the ground. But maybe in your organization, there are office structures or they're traveling a lot. So you need to, if you're the person that's responsible for culture, need to be that champion that really gets out there and connects with talents. So I mentioned the size of my team mainly because I want to show you how much emphasis we put into creating a unique culture. And we have dedicated people that look after culture, and we look at it from an internal communication perspective, making sure that they are able to think of how to do it from an organizational learning perspective, and in general from we have a team called the Space Heroes, who they're just making sure that the space and the kitchens are clean, and that in other companies might be traditionally known as housekeeping. But they're a vital part of what we are trying to create in the organization. So they have a responsibility as well for culture, and they walk around with their hoodies that say Space Heroes at the back of their hoodies, and they do that with pride because they are connected to the organization. They're not just coming to deal with the mess that's been created or trying to just put the cereals out. So here with Power of Proof, with the organizational complexity, I think it's very, as I mentioned, the former traditional organizations that usually just have departments. So these are different siloed departments. They interact with each other, but what happens here is they're always dependent on it. They're on each other. And so we took it upon ourselves to reorganize this whole structure to create something that is more focused, because this is also part of our values. And we set priorities based on added value to Trivago. So we don't do, people might ask us, oh, you're in hotels, why aren't you doing flights? It's because we are unwaveringly focusing on being the best at what we're doing right now. To be the person, the player where you come to, when you're thinking hotel, you think Trivago. So this is very important for us, that we also focus. And we also make careful decisions on what we do and what we don't do. And this is very frank conversation you need to have about saying no to things that don't add value. And we also believe heavily that we create much more value by doing things in a focused manner, but also doing it right. And it's almost this perfectionist tendency to really be amazing, phenomenal at it. And also, there's really nothing boring about getting a little bit better every day. And this is kind of the motto: try things out, develop further. So what this, as I mentioned, with the focus aspect, we reorganized this way. To think about marketing, what we offer to the users, our essential product, hotel search, the marketplace, but also how we interact with our OTAs and hoteliers directly, the advertiser relations part. Then we have a team, a very important team function called enabling functions. And this is where legal, finance, but also talents and organization sits, to really empower the organization from the bottom up to drive change, to move us much more faster and move more quicker. And as a result of this pillar structure, everybody's working towards one common goal of being that towards the Trivago mission. And as a result, you can see in these little dotted colors, there are different individuals in these teams, but we have in marketing the technical engineers. The engineering team sits with the marketing team. They are part of the team. The product team is part of that team. There is also someone that looks after recruitment specifically for that market. And it's not them just coming together from different spaces, but they are one team. And this is more to ensure that these small teams, making sure that we establish self-autonomous teams that are more autonomous, self-directed teams that are much more smaller. And as a result, they have the talent that they need, they have the expertise that they need, the technological requirements. So if you believe it or not, for a team like talents and organization, I have someone that when I need a tool developed, we develop all our tools internally, by the way, and I have someone in my team that can make that become a reality, to build that tool if needed. So we have dedicated teams within our team to make sure that we're not dependent. Now we have to go to the engineering department and see if we can get this approved. No. I want, we get. And if there's a strong business case, of course. There's also this term in red, power. I would rather call it influence. You have the influence and full power, autonomy to drive your particular team forward that way, to work towards the one unified mission. And this has been the key to the success. Our last core value is fanatic learning. And we hire individuals who are willing to learn and grow at a very fast pace. If you're a know-it-all, maybe in Trivago not might be at all, because we think that everyone can grow and develop. And this means we're always constantly learning, constantly exploring. And to do this, we have a weekly lunch and learn series called Trivago Vitamins, where we share insights, share our own expertise. So if I want to do a session on knitting, crafting, it could be on self-expression, it could be on creativity. We host that internally through a lunch and learn. And also on a weekly basis, we offer something called Trivago Academies, which is a speaker series where we invite external speakers to come in every week to speak to our talents. And we've recently opened it up to externals as well, and now we're in a dilemma where we have to cut off to have a quota for all the engagement we're getting. But basically, as an organization, our talents are curious by nature, and we want to learn and grow and develop further. And this is what inspires us to be inspired, but also wanted to adapt to change is also included in this. As a result of us wanting to learn and move quicker, learning from this, we also embrace change very frequently and to the fullest. So there isn't a big, we're unstructured, we change often. There's actually a very welcoming presence for change in the organization. And this is what you need to try to strive for. So there's sports activities and the academies per year, but this is what reflects our culture, and for me, this contributes to the success of our culture. And this is a picture from one of our tours, and this depicts exactly what we're trying to create, that collaborative atmosphere. These folks didn't know each other before coming on tour, but together through this activity, they've created a new bond. And being able to create these bonds is very, very important for any organization's success. So if I can share with you what we also do when I mention change and introducing big changes, we recently also redefined our leadership model. We saw that many of our leaders were just focusing on the strategy elements of things, the business side of things. They're really amazing at what they do, and we have successfully scaled the organization due to our leaders and focus on driving our business forward. But we also found that there's not enough time being dedicated to developing our talents. And yes, you develop it, you're part of the team as a lead, that is part of your role, but we want someone to dedicate a lot more time into developing talents. So our leadership framework, and which we just introduced recently, and I shared this yesterday in the session I did in the workshop, how the journey about how we at 1400 say, hey, we have a new leadership model coming in, here you go, how we do that. But it's very important that we have identified people who are responsible for leading the business strategy, who are accountable for the business strategy. We have individuals who are responsible for leading talents, who are, throughout their Trivago journey, are responsible for the growth and development. And this person is not necessarily working in their particular team or function. They're somewhere else in another organization. They could be working in marketing, leading someone in engineering. And this is because we want someone to be a coach, be there to develop them to the fullest. And this is what their role is dedicated to do. And then we also realized that we are not giving enough attention to specialized individuals who are experts, who can actually be accountable for expertise and knowledge in the organization. So we have knowledge leads for strategic areas that we feel that knowledge should be expanded in those particular areas. And as a result, we have 3 leadership roles that all talents can develop into as an individual contributor that you can develop into. And the main thing here is you choose where you want to go. we're not pushing anyone to be a lead people when maybe they just want all they want to do is leading strategy. And this was done through several focus groups and understanding the challenges our current leaders were facing, and also looking at how the talents and what they wanted. And as you know, as a young company, as being our average age is 29 in the organization, so we're fairly millennial-based organization. You have to understand what their needs are. They want to feel valued, they want to progress and develop and be able to grow quicker. And I'm talking 6 months, they want a new role. They want a new challenge, they want to develop. So in order to be able to create these experiences, we need to have individuals that help them see the strategic vision, but also allow them to develop into these roles to be those drivers of change and take the organization further. But also acknowledge that we have a lot of people who are really good at nurturing talents, nurturing people, and want to coach and develop others. So giving opportunities for those individuals who want to go in that path, in that direction. And also similarly for the experts. The slide is a little bit cut off here for you, but it says here, the key to success of scaling your organization. And I wanted to share 6 things to wrap up the talk and open it up for QA. To share with you is, first thing being core values. This is your cultural identity, your DNA, making sure that this reflects who you are. We were founded in 2005 and we created those values only in 2013. That's when the values became important for us. Then last year we re-evaluated the values to make sure that they're still relevant because of our growth. And as a result, it was relevant. It speaks who we are. Number 2, no titles, no ego, no status. Really think about that. I had a difficulty saying what my title was for here because I don't have a title. I'm responsible for culture. And I don't like throwing out titles even externally because it's not something that we use internally. And this is what empowers every individual to feel like they can create change. And also with the reduction of making sure that there are no titles, it also makes sure that everybody's on an equal platform in the organization. You're all sitting together, you're working together. No one's idea is more important than another person's idea. We're not driven by position, status, or anything. So this is very important that you rethink how these things impact the culture of your organization. And it also eliminates any sort of ego. When you say head of, COO, whatever, CPO, it all gets just becomes jargon now. It's more of a nice thing to have, but are you able to create change? Can an intern create the same change as a managing director in your organization? That's kind of the mindset. Number 3, engagement from leadership. I shared that story about our founder and CEO being there for every single onboarding week to share about the core values. Have an intimate talk about what the values are. Really is important. They also take part in weekly Q&A discussions, and this type of engagement is very, very important. When we launched the leadership model, when we talked about the reorganization, along with whoever was creating that change, they also stood by them to give a stamp of approval if needed, if people were looking for that validation. But they were there, they were present and are always there. And this is very important if you're a leader in your own organization to assess how much engagement you're actually having with your talents. How much are you actually going out for lunch for these people? And we were joking last night, some of the greatest ideas we've had have been through events, team events, and partying with some of the leadership team in general to just think about outside the box. So it's not in meetings, and frankly we want to reduce as many meetings as possible and try to drive that, let people own their ideas and push through and get it done. Embracing change. Change is scary. I was very, very happy to see some of the talks yesterday around change and innovation. And it's really, really difficult to rally people to move towards a change together. But if you engage them early enough in the process to have focus groups, get their opinions, get their insights, get them engaged to be that driver of change, then you're embracing it in a very good way to embrace change. And also autonomous teams. So get rid of these empire building departments, siloed departments, and think about how cross-functional things could be. Thinking about being more agile, and agility is not for just tech only. Agility, think of it as for an entire organization. So I want to open it up for very quickly for a few questions. If anyone has any, I'm also available after the talk to just chat with folks. But I really want to thank you for listening in. I was talking and there's so much buzz going. But I hope for you with the headphones, it was a concentrated talk for you guys. So thanks again for making it out this morning. Thank you.
Hey, it was a great speech. Thank you so much. I have one question. You told us that you present yesterday the new leadership model. How did the leaders react on this? How was the reaction?
Sorry, I have to switch between the two. The reaction was, it was up and coming because we had several focus groups on this topic. So it wasn't something that was new. So it was based on engaging throughout the process, and it was a lengthy process. But I can tell you, leading up to it, the lessons learned for us was really taking a look at what the challenges were of that model. And basically, what we were finding was we had people who felt like they had one lead who was a decision maker. Were heavily dependent on them, and it was setting us up for failure, actually. And the talents felt like there weren't opportunities to grow in that sense. So this was one thing that we really had to think long and hard, engage lots of people through our QAs, making sure that we had this. And then to introduce the change, we did it through our all hands meeting. So a monthly all hands that we have. We introduced the change, we had QAs about it, we answered questions. People had great questions that said, that's an excellent question. We didn't think about it. Let us get back to you on that. And being authentic and real about it. And it's at 1400 to have a drastic change. It's not easy. And as a result, you have to be humble about it to say, hey guys, we think this is a great model to move forward in, and we want to try this out and get learnings from this. And so this was our take on that.